Mega Man X is an iconic platformer in the Mega Man name released by legendary game company Capcom in late 1993. This was a big step up for the series in terms of setting, music, graphics, and gameplay. Mega Man X is a landmark entry for Capcom and still popular to this day for great reason. In this episode of VGBAM, we will examine the world map and backgrounds in the game, alongside some lore and story progression to see what shocking conclusions we will find. Mega Man X jumps you right into the action and feeds you story as you go. Because this will link up later, we need to begin by establishing some Mega Man X lore. Mega Man X is a special kind of robot designed to be able to think for himself and to feel as humans do. Because of this, and his combat abilities, he has endless potential and was thus named X. However, with the innovative addition of essentially granting him free will, Dr. Light, Mega Man and Mega Man X's creator, felt it was necessary to test whether or not X would violate the first rule of robotics, which is that robots should never do harm to humans. Dr. Light, nearing the end of his life, and knowing that he would not be able to finish this work himself, and also that he had no one to succeed him and finish his work, thus decided to seal off X in a special diagnostic capsule. This capsule would test X, with the idea being that he was to be released in 30 years if the testing was successful. Dr. Light knew that X had great potential to be either a boon or doom for mankind, and therefore was understandably cautious. This event takes place on September 18th in the year 20XX, making it broad to pin down in the timeline, but likely not at the beginning of the 2000s because Mega Man series is supposed to take place during that time frame. Enter Dr. Kane. Dr. Kane leads an archaeological team circa year 2116, at least according to internet lore. In one particular dig location, he unearths the remnants of Dr. Light's lab, the same lab where X was built. Apparently, the testing to see whether or not X would annihilate humanity went well because he, doesn't. And later that year, with X's help, Dr. Kane creates Reploids, which are robots based off of X's structure, also with the ability to think and feel for themselves, thus ushering in a new age for robotics and for humanity. They have essentially created new life. A lot of more minor details happen immediately afterwards, but what's important here is that they find there is a potential for some of these Reploids to harm humans, and those who are afflicted with this virus in their programs are dubbed Mavericks. There is no known cure for the Maverick virus, and it's implied that it's complex enough to not be understood by human or Reploid. Maverick Hunters, a group composed of Reploids who kill Mavericks, is established with notable Maverick Hunters X, Zero, and Sigma among its ranks. Sigma has highly advanced combat capabilities and leads this group. However, several years after the formation of the Hunters, Sigma suddenly goes Maverick, kicking off the entire X series. Sigma stages a coup and wishes to do away with the humans in order to usher in yet another age on Earth. The rest of the Hunters who did not side with Sigma are led by Zero, who works closely with X to try to put down Sigma and his rebellion in order to save the world and restore peace. Now you know the setting and the motivation for the plot of Mega Man X. That allows us to get into the real meat of things and focus on these maps and backgrounds. What will we find? Let's find out together. There are 8 unique stages in Mega Man X, aside from the stages in Sigma's Fortress later, and the intro stage, which brings us to 13 stages total. We have 13 backgrounds and 1 single world map. Check out this world map. Look, I know this is supposed to be a visual representation of a larger world, but put that aside for a second. God damn, these places are really close together. What the fuck is going on here? We have a forest next to a snowy mountain. The airport seems to be located next to some suspicious cylinders, and you just know that those fuckers are going to explode at some point in time. Yeah, let's go ahead and put giant flying vehicles full of kerosene next to other huge and flammable materials. I'm sure that'll work out well. We have a tower and what I assume is an ocean rig in the water, and honestly, this is probably fine. Weird to have a tower coming up out of the water, but whatever floats your tower, I guess. Topographically speaking, the rest isn't too insane on its own, other than the fact that they are so close together. Seriously, what is up with that? It's impractical at least and pretty dangerous. Okay, so that's the lay of the land. Let's focus in on some finer details in the stages themselves. The intro stage is a busted highway level. This is supposed to be because of the war that Sigma is leading, and I honestly have no huge issue with it. Things are broken and displaced, but that's probably what you would expect given that a war is taking place. And besides, just look at this guy and the destruction will begin to make a bit more sense. Yeah, he's a beast. Next, let's slide into Chill Penguin's stage. It seems like this is supposed to be some sort of polar base maybe? A research base? Are they producing energy somehow? I'm not sure. You can tell by looking at the background this is a damn cold area. High snowdrifts, frozen solid, poking their way prominently out of the background. When we enter the base, there's a big drop-off, and why? Is this because of the damage? It doesn't look that way. How would this be practical for anyone stationed there? We climb along pipes and slopes. Why is there no elevator or stairway? And fine at the top, Dr. Light's first upgrade capsule for X, sitting right out in the open? Okay, seriously? What the fuck? Am I supposed to believe this was just sitting here and everyone working there ignores it? Imagine you start your first day of work at the Polar Something station. Hey, what's that giant capsule thing? Oh, that? Yeah, a holographic old man in there keeps going on about X and a speed increase. The fuck does that even mean? I don't know. We can't figure it out, so we just ignore it. Shouldn't we move it? Way to go, Dr. Light. You're more of an idiot savant than a genius. The rest of the stage is a bit more believable because we're out on the rest of the mountain and there's just a small installation at the top where Chill Penguin supervises things. Then Chameleon stage. Not much to say about this one really. We're traversing through a forest and swamp type area with bits of robotics encroaching on the nature. The purpose of this stage is unclear from a practical point of view with no facilities or anything really being that prominent. Maybe this is just a forest base of some sort? Next, Storm Eagle. Okay, so this is kind of fucked up. In the beginning, we start from pretty high up on an air traffic control tower and proceed along the tops of other structures in the airport, using flying platforms to avoid having to go back down to the ground floor, and thus saving time. It looks like a portion near the end of the stage is a building that was under construction, and we end up on Storm Eagle's airship, which was hovering conveniently just within X's reach. This is a bit impractical, but I'll allow it because there's nothing too glaring about this stage. Plus, you get to blow up his fucking airship, which is pretty damn cool. Spark Mandrill is next. I have to assume that this is a power plant or something of that nature. Except, holy fuck is this a dangerous power plant. We start off in a space where the lights are continuously going on and off for some reason, despite the power plant being clearly operational. Dangerous balls of electricity travel the ground, ready to strike anyone who has to traverse the plant, which is a construction oversight if I've ever seen one. Past that, for some reason, we have pits, which are intraversable by humans, and yet another room where the lights are randomly switching on and off. Again, I really need to point out here again that the power plant is operational, which implies that this is somehow how this place is supposed to run. Holy motherfucking Jesus, is that unsafe. So we get through some other dark areas with ladders now? Are you fucking kidding me? And finally, Spark Mandrill is waiting at what looks like the core of the power plant. Honestly, kill him and then just destroy the entire power plant. That plant ought to be condemned because of how unsafe it is. No amount of electricity is worth that hazard. Flame Mammoth stage is next, and this one is really interesting. Stages in Mega Man X change depending on which Mavericks you might have beaten. I won't get into all the changes, but this one is one of the more prominent ones. It's either a sea of fire and lava or completely icy if you've beaten Chill Penguin's stage before coming here. Check out this map to see what it looks like in its fiery state, and the footage here to see what it looks like in its icy state. Already though, it makes no sense. These pillars producing robots were supposed to be in the lava itself, and not to belabor the obvious, but aren't the robots made here designed to be dumped into the lava? So by beating Chill Penguin, we save them? Just to kill them on our way through? Wow, what the fuck? The whole stage is a mess with platforms broken everywhere. Maybe you can attribute some of this destruction to the Mavericks, but I think you have to blame the people who constructed this goddamn eyesore at least in a little bit. Past more lava and a weird pipe section that seems generally out of place, we find Flame Mammoth, who you fight on a conveyor belt for some reason. Kill him and move on. Okay, this is where shit starts to get a little crazier. In Launch Octopus's stage, we have to traverse the ocean floor, and for some reason, which is completely beyond me, there are spikes everywhere. Like actual spikes. Think about it. You'd have to go out of your way to actually create spikes, and in this case you'd be doing it randomly, not knowing exactly what direction your enemy would approach from. So in other words, you wouldn't do it. Then why the fuck are all these spikes here? Seriously, look at all these goddamn spikes. It's got to be a construction thing. What sadomasochist made these goddamn environments? Finally, as we get closer to the boss room, we notice that many of the tanks in the background have been broken by Launch Octopus and his group. Okay, whatever, man. In Boomer Kawanger's stage, it's about just as bad. In light of what we just discussed, I suppose I could forgive the intraversable by humans climb that is showcased in this level, but this elevator is where shit gets real. The elevator is filled bow to stern with spikes. There are spiky platforms you have to dodge on the way up. In what fucking universe is this even remotely practical? Who in their goddamn mind would make an elevator this dangerous? You know what? Fuck the power plant. We need to go after this place first. Decommission this tower for being an unsafe workplace. Things reach a stunning crescendo in Armored Armadillo's stage. It starts off innocently enough with a little minecart section down a hill that no one will have much issue with, but oh, just you wait, that's just there to lull you into a false sense of security. Immediately after this, we're met with more pits, which is not at all how mining works, and then we get chased by a spike crusher thing through a tunnel of man-made spikes. Again. What is with the fucking hard-on for the spikes? Do these architects and planners secretly have death wishes? There's no way this is all the work of the Mavericks. Traverse through more of the same until the end, and we find what has to be the least practical thing in all of these fucking maps. Look at this gap. Look at it. What kind of mine places a gap here? Oh, here's your cargo. We're just gonna send it down this hill and hope it all works out. Jesus Christ, these people are fucking idiots. You know what? I'm starting to get Sigma's point of view. Think about it. How would you feel if you were essentially born into slavery, forced to work in a particular position because of how you were built and not because it's a passion of yours? On top of that, people build your workplaces with abhorrently unsafe work conditions, and you're not allowed to complain about it. Maybe Sigma is right about getting rid of these fuckers. Look at what they've done. Mavericks hardly helped. The chaos was there all along. My glorious Lord Sigma's stages all take place in his fortress, and I must say it is a well-constructed one. This is the only place in Mega Man X where these obstacles are built on purpose that just dangerous enough to be tough for X while still allowing passage for your forces. What smart architecture when you know you will be assailed by powerful robotic beings. And what beautiful topical backgrounds. The first stage sets the scene being a steep climb into an imposing fortress with the trappings of society falling further and further away as we delve deeper and deeper into this fortress. In the second stage, we're into the fortress proper a little bit more, and we see a beautiful mountain range in the background with the dawn sky just beginning to fill the landscape. Talk about beautiful. Sigma has great taste. Finally, near the top of this section, day breaks and we have a beautiful skyline. No wonder Storm Eagle likes to spend time out here. Stage 3 of Sigma's fortress brings us to the depths, and it's maze-like in its construction despite not actually being a maze. X is made to feel like a rat in the cage here, going through a veritable gauntlet of enemies to meet his goal. Again, very smart design here, in the area to protect your inner sanctum. Finally, we do reach Sigma's inner sanctum in a tower in his fortress, which is a foreboding climb up this shaft. Nothing to strike fear in the heart of your enemy than upping the tension and pressure before a big confrontation. Sigma's room itself obscures in the dark his greatest masterpiece, which is his battle armor that will surely crush X. Now in the end, X won here and the fortress was crushed. I understand his motivations and how he believed he was doing the right thing, but did anyone stop and think about what Sigma thought and felt? Or did the media just want to label him a maverick and then have him killed, no questions asked? And hey, what's wrong with a little fascism in exchange for some better workplace conditions? Guys, I think we can all agree here that the humans were the main problem all along. X, you may have defeated Sigma this time, but mark my words, he will be back and he will continue to fight for the rights of Reploids everywhere. Your days are numbered, so watch your back. For God's sake, do something about all these fucking spikes everywhere. God!